Halloween was never the same after that night. My son just vanished, leaving behind an empty costume and shattered dreams. It's been 10 long years, and every trick-or-treater at my door reminds me of him. This morning he showed up out of the blue, eyes wide with a chilling message. He claimed our neighbor knew more about that night than we ever imagined. This morning felt like a strange dream. I opened the door expecting the usual costume-clad kids. Instead, there he was, my son, after 10 long years. His eyes were wide with urgency. He didn't hug me or even smile, just delivered a message that made my stomach drop. "Mom, our neighbor knows something about the night I disappeared." I didn't know how to react because my head was spinning. He claimed that our neighbor was connected to his disappearance in ways we couldn't have imagined. Days leading to Halloween were filled with decorations, laughter, and children's excitement, making it hard to believe such darkness lurked close by. We've lived beside them for years, without any suspicion. Now, my son's words kept echoing in my mind, painting our neighbor in a different, more mysterious light than ever before. As I handed out candy to laughing kids, memories of past Halloweens flooded back. Those were simpler times, filled with fun and light. My son's laugh used to echo through the house. Now, here I was staring at him after all these lost years. When I heard the door knock, my heart skipped. I found myself standing there face to face with him, trying to make sense of reality. Words failed me when I saw my son there. His eyes pierced into mine, speaking of things unspoken, as he whispered about the neighbor. My heartbeat quickened. Something in his voice was urgent, almost fearful. My mind raced with confusion. Why mention the neighbor? What does my son know? Questions bubbled to the surface, and the fear of not understanding consumed me. I needed to understand what was happening. What could he possibly mean? My thoughts were all over the place. Without wasting any time, I peppered my son with questions, hoping he'd tell me more. But he wasn't ready to talk, just shook his head. The urgency in his eyes didn't match his silence, as if he wanted me to figure it out myself. I felt lost and desperate, not knowing what to do with this cryptic information. Left with no other options, I had to go straight to the source. Each step toward our neighbor's house felt heavy, with my heart pounding louder than my footsteps. I knocked on their door. My mind was a storm of ideas and suspicions. What could they possibly know about my son? I knew I needed answers, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for the truth that might follow. When the neighbor opened the door, his face showed surprise, as if he didn't expect visitors. I mentioned seeing my son, waiting for any hint of recognition on his face. "He's back," I told him, "and he mentioned you." There was a pause, a hesitation that betrayed him. Something was off. That moment of silence grew heavy with tension. It was clear he was hiding something important, something big. He invited me in, and reluctantly I stepped inside. The familiar walls did little to ease my sense of unease. Everything in the room was normal, almost too normal, putting me on edge. I could feel the tension in the air as I eyed the neighbor, searching for any clue that could explain my son's message. Though it didn't show on his face, an unsettling feeling lingered just beneath. I started asking him about the night my son disappeared, trying to read between his words, hoping for something useful to surface. Though calm, the neighbor's answers felt practiced. He talked about moving here a year before my son vanished, yet each sentence he spoke seemed to avoid my gaze. Something about his demeanor felt too rehearsed, like he was a step ahead, guarding secrets buried beneath simple words. Something about the whole situation felt off. My son's return and the mysterious message he brought with him disturbed me deeply. As the neighbor handed me a cup of tea, trying to sound friendly, I took it cautiously. My mind kept racing, trying to connect the dots. Every look of theirs seemed to hide something. I felt stuck between wanted to trust them and fearing what I might discover. As I took a sip of the tea, my eyes wandered around their living room. I couldn't help but notice the stacks of papers spread over the table. Curiosity got the better of me, and I leaned in for a closer look. It seemed like a jumble of documents, but it didn't take long for something unexpected to pop out from the mess, capturing my attention instantly. There among the papers were children's drawings. At first glance, they seemed innocent enough, but then recognition struck me. Some of those drawings looked like ones my son had made years ago. Confused and slightly angry, I turned to the neighbor with questions swirling in my head. "Why do you have these?" I asked, pointing at the sketches. My heart tightened, waiting for the neighbor's response. Watching my neighbor's face turn pale was unnerving. They looked cornered, almost like they expected this confrontation. "They're just some sketches I collect," they finally said, voice thin, not meeting my eyes. But I wasn't buying it. My skepticism grew. My heart told me there was more to the story they weren't sharing. I had to keep digging and find out what secrets they were actually hiding. With my neighbor's dismissive answer hanging in the air, my instinct screamed that there was a deeper truth buried somewhere. As I stood there, my son watched silently, his intense eyes fixed on me, adding to the tension. His presence, after so many years, didn't ease my unease. It intensified it. More than ever, I felt the pressing need to uncover what was truly happening here. Suddenly, the neighbor changed the conversation, hinting at random neighborhood topics. It felt awkward and forced, pushing me to tread carefully. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something more sinister was at play. Realizing I needed outside help to get to the bottom of this mystery, I made a mental note to reach out to the local police. This wasn't something I could solve alone. That afternoon, I approached the police, hoping they still had my son's disappearance in their records. To my relief, they did, and reassured me they'd look into our neighbor. I showed them the peculiar children's drawings, which intrigued the officer, though they admitted it wasn't much to go on. Still, knowing the police were involved brought a sliver of hope that we'd soon have answers. Returning home, I found my mind a flurry of thoughts, each more puzzling than the last. My son sat quietly at the kitchen table, scribbling in a notebook. Despite my questions about the drawings, he offered no explanations, leaving me to wonder what he might be hiding. Each page turn of his notebook seemed to echo in the stillness of the room, fueling my growing unease. The neighbor's voice wouldn't leave my mind, like a whisper nudging for attention. I couldn't shake the feeling they were keeping a big secret. My son, occasionally glancing up at me with steady blue eyes, added to my internal turmoil. His expression revealed nothing, yet kept me on edge. I felt locked in this web of mystery, unable to piece together the puzzle surrounding his disappearance. Outside, Halloween festivities buzzed with cheerful noises. Kids' laughter filled the air, an echo of what once was. Yet inside our house, time felt frozen, stuck in a moment seeking clarity. I rummaged through my son's room, searching for any clue, any sign that might hint at the years he was gone. Each familiar toy and book brought back memories, but none offered fresh insights. In the quiet of my son's room, a dusty box caught my eye. It sat quietly in the corner, filled with echoes of his childhood. I hesitated for a moment before opening it, but curiosity got the best of me. Inside, there were toys, drawings, and old photos. As I looked through them, I felt a wave of emotions. Among the photos, one small image caught my attention, triggering a surge of tears. Staring at the photo, my heart twisted with unease. It was a picture of my son and our neighbor, captured in happy times. But now, this simple image filled me with questions. How had I forgotten about it? I tried to recall any memories tied to that moment, but they eluded me. Why was this photo here? And could it hold clues about his disappearance? Driven by determination, I slipped the photo into my pocket, ready to uncover the truth. The afternoon sun dipped lower as I approached our neighbor's door once more. With a deep breath, I knocked, my mind racing with possibilities. The neighbor opened the door, reluctant yet curious. Without wasting time, I stepped inside, hoping this visit would finally unravel the mystery that had haunted us. I slowly pulled out the photo and showed it to them, my voice firm with the need for answers. Their eyes met mine, then dropped to the picture, a heavy sigh escaping their lips. "He was safer than you knew," they admitted, their words hanging in the air. I was more confused than ever, but I sensed a story hidden behind their weary expression, urging me to delve deeper. My son stood nearby, watching as I questioned our neighbor. I could sense that he was waiting for something too. The neighbor's eyes flickered to an upstairs room, betraying a secret lurking within. Questions slipped from my lips urgently, but answers remained slippery. Was I close to uncovering a truth long hidden? One thing was sure, there was more beneath the surface than I had realized. With time sliding away and answers still out of reach, frustration bubbled within me. I was on the brink of discovery, yet it felt like something kept eluding my grasp. The neighbor remained tight-lipped, their tired demeanor hinting at untold stories. My patience was running thin, and I knew I had to keep pushing, unraveling the layers of secrets that had been carefully spun for years. Feeling overwhelmed, I dialed my best friend, spilling the tangled web of events. "The neighbor is hiding something," I said, my voice trembling with disbelief and concern. "Sounds like a big secret," she replied thoughtfully. Her words mirrored my growing suspicion, fueling my resolve. With her help, I felt a surge of determination to discover the truth, whatever it might be. That afternoon, we found ourselves at the town library, determined to dig deeper. My friend and I sifted through old newspapers, looking for any links to our mysterious neighbor. Hours flew by as we combed through article after article, searching for connections. Each discovery felt like a piece of a puzzle, fitting into place, bringing us closer to finding the truth my son needed. Buried within the sea of old articles were tales of local child disappearances, their details chilling and haunting. A figure lurked in the shadows of these stories, shrouded in mystery. My hands shook slightly as I took pictures of the most significant discoveries, knowing they might hold the key to understanding my son's journey. The importance of these articles was undeniable. They were stepping stones to understanding. Back home, I showed the findings to my son, expecting shock or surprise. But he simply stared, deep in thought and unfazed. Did he already know? It was as if the missing puzzles were already completed in his mind. As more questions stirred within me, I realized that this journey was just beginning, and uncovering the truth required both of us to face what lay ahead together. While I was deep in thought, my phone buzzed, catching me off guard. The number was unknown, leaving me both curious and cautious. Before I could say hello, a voice on the other end warned me to let it go, whatever it was. The words creeped me out, and I had a shiver run down my spine. I slowly lowered the phone, reeling from the unease it left behind. The chilling call left me shaken, and the way my spine tingled didn't help at all. My eyes fell on the clock, each tick reminding me time was running out. I'd been avoiding the problem, but now it felt urgent. Ignoring this mysterious issue wasn't an option anymore. The thought of confronting the neighbor circled around in my mind, creeping over me like a growing shadow. A part of me dreaded what I'd find if I faced the neighbor. Still, with night falling and an eerie silence settling outside, I sensed it was now or never. The empty streets echoed my steps as I headed over, trying to push past the fear that gripped me. All I could do was be careful, decide wisely, and hope I was ready for whatever truth came out tonight. With a sense of urgency, I approached the neighbor's door, feeling the weight of the articles tucked in my pocket. This time, I knocked louder, listening to the echo in the quiet night. When the door finally opened, the tension in the air was undeniable. "I need answers," I said, unable to hide my determination. I was ready to confront whatever secrets were being kept from me. Faced with my demand, the neighbor hesitated, and there was a moment's pause. Then, with a solemn nod, they motioned for me to follow them upstairs. My heart pounded like a drum as we moved, each step echoing my uncertainty. We approached a locked room at the end of the hallway. My anticipation grew, fueled by the possibilities of what lay on the other side of that door. The key in their hand turned slowly, and I held my breath as the door creaked open. Inside, the unexpected sight caught me off guard. Walls covered with articles and notes painted a vivid picture. These weren't random stories. They were pieces of a larger puzzle, one I desperately needed to understand. The room was full of evidence, each piece looming with its own tale to tell. The neighbor finally turned to me, their face marked with guilt. "I've been fighting against child traffickers," they confessed, their voice heavy with emotion. The words shocked me, hinting at a much deeper truth tied to my son's absence. The story, slowly unfolding, was far beyond anything I could have imagined. I sensed my son's journey was connected to a fight I hadn't known was happening. Suddenly, it all started to make sense. My son had been hidden for his safety, kept away from dangers I never knew existed. The realization hit me hard, like a wave crashing onto rocks. All the random pieces, old artwork, the phone call, and whispers began to fit together. My world shifted as the bizarre threads of the past 10 years started weaving into a coherent picture. My son stood next to the neighbor, nodding, as if to confirm the story. Relief washed over me, easing a tension that had been knotted for so long. The realization of his safety made my chest feel lighter. Knowing our neighbor had tried to protect us and our community revealed a bravery hidden amidst my fears. I felt a deep, unexpected gratitude towards them, seeing the protective role they played. I took a moment to thank them sincerely, understanding the courage it took to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Through the chaos, the puzzle pieces had finally fit together. However, I knew the journey didn't end here. The fight wasn't over until the entire community understood the truth, and safety could be ensured for others. We had a new mission now, one that started with awareness. I realized sharing what I had discovered was important. Our neighbor had risked a lot to help keep the kids safe, even when I didn't know. The threat of more danger hung over us all, but I felt a new purpose rising. It wasn't just about my son's safety anymore, but about spreading the word so others could be ready for any lurking threats. Together, my son and I pledged to stay sharp for any signs of danger. We talked about what we learned, nodding in agreement that our neighborhood needed to be a safer place. From now on, we would keep people informed and aware. Using the lessons from the past, we teamed up, exchanging ideas, and watching over the community with fresh eyes, ready for anything. As the Halloween festivities wrapped up, I sat with my thoughts and looked towards both the past and future. The truth, once hidden, was now a cornerstone of hope. No longer a figure lost to time, my son stood as a sign of courage and determination. His journey from being missing to being here again inspired me, promising brighter days for everyone around us. Standing next to my son, I felt fortified by our shared experiences. We weren't just a mom and son anymore, but a team ready to face what was to come. A promise between us to help those in need resonated deeply. This newfound unity would guide our actions. Together, we'd welcome challenges bravely, knowing our bond was stronger than any fear, ready for anything. With a shared nod, we took our first steps into a new, more hopeful chapter. The darkness that once loomed faded away, replaced by unwavering hope and a strengthened family connection. Stepping outside, we felt empowered by the truth we'd uncovered. It was a journey that was sometimes mysterious, but now it had given us renewed purpose. With each step, side by side, we felt ready. As we moved forward, our neighbors watched, not knowing the secrets we'd unraveled. Still, my son and I vowed to never let fear cripple our community again. We would protect them. Not by seeking revenge, but by promoting a future of safety and progress. Our hearts determined. We wanted everyone to live free from the shadows of fear, working for lasting peace. In the days that followed, our neighborhood came alive with a newfound vigilance. People started coming together, united in their protective stance. Working with the local authorities, we took those hidden fears apart, piece by piece. Every piece of information, every effort to dismantle that criminal network was a step towards freeing everyone from the unseen threats, giving back the peace we all deserved. Witnessing how the revelations sparked change and transformed lives around us was incredible. Our small, ordinary town found renewed hope because of this journey. My son was no longer a symbol of something lost. He became a beacon of salvation for others. His return and the safety we all found through him powered beliefs in brighter futures, reshaping our community in important ways. We shared our story everywhere, inside schools and at community meetings, stressing to parents the importance of awareness and involvement. Our voices joining together encouraged others to come together as well, fostering a renewed sense of security and unity. There was no longer room for hidden threats, just a strong front where bonds of trust were rebuilt among neighbors and friends alike. Together, as a community, we worked diligently to break through the shadows of deceit that had lingered for so long. New, resilient connections of trust were formed in the process. The neighbor, whose courage started this journey, continued their quest. Our reunion inspired many, driven by gratitude for life, showing that with unity, we could conquer the fear that once held our community captive. The role our neighbor played was never fully understood, but whispers finally began to quiet down as the reality settled in. Amongst the shadows, it became clear that children in our neighborhood were safer now than they had ever been before. It was like a heavy cloud had lifted, replaced by a sense of relief and security. Our community, realizing the importance of vigilance, had grown stronger. In more open conversations, my son shared bits of where he had been. Each fragment revealed filled me with awe, making our bond stronger. He pointed out places on a map and recounted moments of safety among friends he met on the way. The stories slowly connected us, helping us adapt to our new normal. It was comforting, knowing we were surrounded by shared strength and abundant hope. As time passed, we found ourselves rebuilding the dreams we had once thought were gone. Halloween didn't feel like a time of sadness anymore. It now symbolized courage and unity. Every lesson learned over the years contributed to our newfound resilience. Annually, the community gathered to celebrate what used to be a time of uncertainty. This newfound spirit turned Halloween into a heartwarming reflection of the community's strength. No longer bound by fear or loss, our family flourished under a sky filled with new possibilities. The community joined in this transformation, each person sharing stories of bravery and persistence in classrooms and homes. This change radiated outwards, showing everyone that from hardship, new strengths arise. It was as if our entire outlook had flipped, and from that point, we began to see endless opportunities ahead. In legacy, we honored not just those who fought for safety, but also those we saved. We realized our destinies were intertwined, tied by the events that brought us so close together. Our neighborhood began to flourish in appreciation of the stranger who once walked unseen among us. Though a time of hardship, it gifted us a future, filled with bonds and memories we honor deeply and eternally. As the calm days neared their end, we painstakingly gathered all details from beginning to end. This chronicle of events opened our eyes to the full scope of what had transpired. Each fact, carefully documented, lit the way to transparency, stirring caution and ensuring our vigilance would withstand any potential threats. By sharing our story, we fortified our neighborhood with knowledge and preventive wisdom, guiding us into the future. Our neighbors' unseen efforts resonated through every retelling of our journey. Their dedication became a central part of our neighborhood's renewed spirit. We built upon this profound truth, merging stories and experiences to form an unbreakable shield of justice. This foundation ensured that together we would guard our community. It was as if, finally, the justice we had long sought was assured, forever protecting us from the shadows. The lessons we learned along the way framed not just our renewed connection, but the neighborhood's spirit of generosity and compassion. Past fears faded, replaced by a strong resolve to protect our community, homes, and history with love. Every step forward, everyone could feel this boost of unity and support. This time of reflection and understanding paved the way to a new beginning, one filled with love and togetherness. Filled with gratitude, we embraced the legacy our mysterious neighbor had crafted. Their kindness, shaped through tireless service, paved the way for our collective healing. This dedication granted each child, not just ours, the freedom to dream without fear. Through understanding, we stood grateful for their selflessness. Their shadow touched every heart, providing peace and security we had never imagined possible. Their legacy is intensified by their unseen heroism. As our journey came to its natural conclusion, the truths we shared sustained us, allowing us to thrive. Each lesson learned became a backbone for what tomorrow might bring. Hand in hand, we stepped into the future with a renewed sense of purpose and steadfast commitments. Our past, no longer a haunting memory, but a tale of triumph, prepared us for whatever challenges came our way. Together, we stood ready. Once Halloween felt empty, but now it's different. My son, by my side, joined me each year, greeting every trick-or-treater with warmth. The joy of his laughter returned to our home. Halloween became a reminder of how far we'd come. Our family was whole again. The neighbor's truth shadowed us no more. Instead, we stood facing the future with strength, bound by love, stronger than any fear that once held us apart. I couldn't believe the neighbor's tale. They leaned back, eyes steady, slowly explaining their secretive role. "I've been undercover," they said softly, "protecting children from a dangerous network." Their eyes told of countless sleepless nights. What I thought was just a quiet home next door was a shield protecting other missing kids. Their mission was dismantling that secret operation, one step at a time, without drawing attention. Hearing it, a wave of respect washed over me. My son finally shared how he was kept hidden to stay safe. From people who wanted secrets. Understanding dawned as the puzzle clicked together in my mind. The neighbors' actions were part of a greater fight against harm. Their hidden life became a refuge. This web of truths stretched beyond us, revealing courage we hadn't grasped. And with it, my son's eyes confirmed the importance of this guarded journey. As the neighbor's story unfolded, relief flooded through me. At last, my son was free from the shadows of the past. His ordeal, once baffling, now made sense. Every strange behavior or action from our neighbor took on a heroic form. Realizing they had been our silent guardian brought peace to my troubled heart. Their actions weren't about deceit, but protection. Suddenly, fear melted into gratitude, knowing they kept our son and others safe. Thinking back, I felt an intense gratitude. Thanks to the neighbors' sacrifices, our neighborhood gained an undine protector. Their bravery kept nightmares at bay while letting the light shine. I saw the extent of all they'd given up for the safety of children who weren't even theirs. It made me realize just how blessed we were to have someone silently safeguarding this place, venturing into darkness for the sake of hope and safety. With my son by my side, we embraced the truth and set out to spread it. People deserve to know, I said. Our neighbors' courage had given us a fresh sense of purpose. Together, we aimed to enlighten our community, ensuring the future held no place for such threats. From unraveling years of mystery came a newfound sense of peace. The safety of others was worth every effort, forever protecting our neighborhood from silent shadows. This wasn't an end, but the start of something empowering. Sharing knowledge means power, my son said with determination in his eyes. We thanked the neighbor for their bravery, a silent understanding passing between us. It wasn't just about unraveling mysteries, but crafting a future free from fear. The mutual respect forged between us became a foundation. Our lives and paths intertwined, paving a hopeful future for everyone who called this place home. With the story laid bare, our family felt renewed, reborn from the chaos. Ready to face any challenge, we stood inspired. Full of energy, past lessons on courage and endurance transformed us from within. We soaked up every teaching, striving to ignite that spirit amongst everyone we met. United, we charged towards tomorrow, heads held high, driven by shared experiences. We understood that together we were unstoppable, urging everyone to embrace the strength found in unity. Our community grew closer, working side by side to secure the future of kids here. Together, we identified and tore down hidden threats, welcoming a sense of wisdom and vigilance. "No more shadows," someone called during a meeting. The phrase took hold, echoing throughout every home. With every small victory, our neighborhood reclaimed its joy. Each step symbolized dedication to realizing a better, guarded future where no shadow could ever creep unnoticed again. As Halloween returned, it felt different, vibrant with courage, not fear. "No more being afraid," I promised my son. He nodded, knowing our community now had strength and unity. Darkness couldn't hold us back. Instead, newfound hope sparkled in every pumpkin's glow. "Let's carry this forward," he added. Our lives, once wrapped in mystery, now shone bright, filled with anticipation and resolve to keep the legacy of vigilance alive, lighting the way for years to come.